Hello everyone, Jeremy Chambers from Independence Acres Homestead. Wanted to take today's video and go over some pretty basic things here for spring planting. What we're going to go over today is basic seed germination using the paper towel method, transplanting your seeds that have been germinated into a soil, and then we're going to go from the soil growth of anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, splitting those off and getting those into little larger pots. Also go over with you how we keep our plants growing well here at our homestead, the soil mixture that we use for starting seeds, and we're also going to be going over our preparation of our garden and prepping our Hugel culture beds for growing this year. This is our first year doing those, so we're real excited that you're here to join us on this journey. Okay, so for the seed germination paper towel method, the very first thing you're obviously going to need, because it's right in the name of the method, is some paper towels, and obviously the most obvious other thing you're going to need is some seeds. The other 3 items that are somewhat mandatory are you can use sandwich bags, that's what we use, or you can put them into a reusable plastic container, squirt bottle with some fresh water in it, and we just use a cookie sheet that we picked up at the dollar store in order to kind of contain the water as we are laying everything out. Okay, once you've assembled all of the materials that you need, we use a cookie sheet like I said. We'll go ahead and place a paper towel in there. I will have one of my lovely assistants saturate the paper towel with the spray bottle. You can also just run it underneath your faucet if necessary, or use another method. We just like to use the spray bottle because it keeps it from getting it too wet. And you're just going to want to spread your seeds out in every inch or so. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, just need to make sure they're on there. So what this will do is this will guarantee that the seeds are surrounded by moisture in order to make sure that germination occurs. Okay, so once we've got about 12 seeds here, we're going to fold everything up, spray that down again real quick just to make sure it stays moist. Paper towel will go in the bag. All right, 2 or 3 more squirts in the bag here. There we go. Make sure that we maintain the moisture. Seal the bag. And last but not least of the step is you're going to want to have a marker, and we are going to label our germination bag here so that we can make sure that we don't lose track of what we've put in the bag here. So this is a Hamson tomato. Now, not necessary. If you can also just lay your seed bag on top of your germination bags in order to make sure that you know what's going on. Now, once you get all of your seeds into your bags or containers, but most importantly, have them inside of your paper towels and make sure everything's nice and wet. You want to put them in a warm, dark area. What we'll actually do is put them on top of a seed heat mat so that the heat will aid in the germination so that we can get these things going ready to go as soon as possible. More than likely, these things will be starting to produce roots and sometimes even sprouts within 3 to 5 days. You want to monitor your bags and make sure that they don't get root bound while they're inside the bag. And as soon as you start to see any kind of growth coming out of the seed, you want to get these things into soil as soon as possible. Now what we've got in our trays now are approximately 2 to 3 weeks old. And we've also done some comparisons between how they grow on the heat mat and under the lights compared to how they grow without any extras. All in all, I would say that for us this year, the investment in the heating pad and the grow lights has been worth it. If you're still debating which way to go, I would highly recommend it. Okay, so now it's time to begin transplanting into larger pots. Once your plants have reached a point where they have got a large amount of additional leaves here and your seedling leaf is the minority, it's time to get your plants into new pots. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the potting soil that we've created this year in order to be able to use as much of the products that are created here on our homestead as possible. The potting soil we have decided to use this year, it's an organic soil, but we've amended it with some rabbit manure. So we didn't add too much to it, but in a 10-pound container of potting soil, we did add about a half a pound of rabbit manure, just enough to where you can somewhat see it in the soil. Let's see, I don't know if we can see too much of it here. Here we go. So see, there's a little rabbit manure pellet right there. And what this does, it gives the soil here a good nitrogen fix for the new plants. That's how we're getting this nice green color here on all of our little seedlings. So it's one of the byproducts of the rabbit raising that we do that is beneficial in other areas. So not only are we getting the items that the rabbits are raised for, but we are also getting their manure in order to amend our soil. All right, I'm not going to go through filling every one of these pots here with you guys on the camera, but it's pretty simple to go from here. All we're going to do is rip each of these cells here. Now these are a peat moss cell, so we could just drop them right in there, but I want to make sure that we don't inhibit any root growth. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose the best looking out of each of these cells. If I've got more than one really good looking plant, we will split them off and plant one in each of the larger pots here. But we're going to start like this one here. We've got a little itty bitty guy. I'm not going to worry about transplanting him. So we're just going to pull him out and set him aside. And we're going to make sure that we focus on getting this larger plant here into some fresh soil so that it does not get root bound. Alright, so we're just going to make a little divot, pull the plant out along, make sure we get all of its root ball and all the soil that's attached. Once again, we could put those pots, those little peat pots, right in here, but we don't want to have any root binding issues. I'm just going to take the same spray bottle and we're just going to add a little water right in there. We want to really saturate that soil. Make sure that those roots have plenty of soil so that they can grow. Alright, I'm going to finish up this tray and come back to you once we get it all done. Alright, here we are with our seedlings all potted up. Now on some of these I did go ahead and put two plants into one pot, as you can see with this one here. Alright, the reason I did that is because they were a little root bound to each other, and I was afraid that by separating them I might actually kill one of them. So the best thing to do, plant them together and then trim one away if you see one beginning to thrive better than the other. Alright, so here we go. Hope this helped. So for 2019, we decided this was going to be a year we actually did some gardening. Last year, I wish I would have had pictures, but I was so embarrassed I didn't take any pictures. But this entire garden was so full of weeds, and we had bull thistles like 2-3 feet tall throughout most of the garden here. It was pretty embarrassing, actually. But what we used in order to recondition the garden and prep it for gardening this year was last July we picked up 2 potbelly pigs, and they did a wonderful job eating all of the thistles. That's right, they actually ate all of the thistles, tore up all of the roots, and they basically tilled the entire garden for us. And it was one of the best purchases we made as homesteaders yet. For the $50 I spent on the pigs, I couldn't have rented a tiller in order to get this good of a job done, because a tiller just would have pushed all those roots and weeds and stuff back into the ground, just enabling them to grow once again. But the pigs ate the weeds and rooted for the roots, get it? All right, and basically they turned our garden back into a garden again. We're really thankful for those pigs. But what we decided to do this year is get these beds here back into condition. When I first put these in, these were beautiful beds. We had some strawberries, we had carrots in one, we had herbs in another. It was all around pretty good, actually. But things got rough over the last couple years, and we kind of let them just kind of go dormant. Well, this year we decided to kick our gardening up a notch. Number one, we put the boys in charge of picking out our vegetables and herbs, also in charge of laying out the garden, deciding what's going to go where. I think they did a pretty good job. We'll share that plan with you. And we also decided to utilize these beds once again, and we weren't just going to till them up and be done with it. We decided to make Hugel-culture beds out of them. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm not, somebody can correct me, but I did look up the pronunciation to make sure I was saying it right. Hugel-culture, I think. Anyway, now in a true Hugel-culture, they'll just lay logs across the surface of the ground and then pile dirt on top of it, and then allow, as the wood rots, it creates voids. It also provides nutrients to the plants that are growing on that mound. Pretty ingenious idea, actually. Well, we did have a little bit of rotting wood. As I was boiling maple sap this year, I found a lot of rotting wood on the bottom of my wood pile. So we decided to put that wood to use rather than just pitching it. We decided to actually put it to use. So the boys have been out here digging in these boxes here over the last couple days, and today we started building our Hugel-culture beds. We started by digging about 10 inches deep, and then from there we layered in the old rotting firewood, and then a layer of our wonderful rabbit manure, along with some of the hay and wood chips. It was mostly urine free, and then we topped that off with 5 to 6 inches of the soil that we dug out of the beds. Now the soil's in pretty good condition. It's not perfect by any means, but it is in pretty good condition. We did have some straw bales in this area last year trying to kill the weeds. It didn't work very well, but the straw has worked its way into the soil and given it some fluffiness. So we're really excited to see how these beds are going to perform this year. Thank you so much for joining us and watching our video. We appreciate you taking the time. I know this one was a little longer than our typical ones, but we wanted to give you as much information as possible before you begin your garden and seed starting journey this year. If you found this video helpful, make sure you like and subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos, and be sure to check us out on Facebook at Independence Acres Homestead. Thank you very much, and as always, God bless.